Hey guys, Fishing Wisconsin 2012 here today, bringing you a video on the long lost U-tail worm. Now, what I've found is in a lot of people's arsenals, this is the most overlooked bait, and it should not be. I've got a couple different baits here. I've got a big bite bait, 7-inch Crete tail. This is the blue fleck color, and then I've got my own June bug worm here. They're just scented, so they are kind of a little lighter color. But like I said, this is my own worm in June bug, which is 7.5 inch, and then we got a 10-inch Big Bite Baits Crete tail worm. And I'm gonna just talk to you guys about today about U-tail worms, how I like to fish them, where I like to fish them, you know, hook, rigging options. So let's get started with that. For the smaller worms, kind of set this guy aside here. I prefer a 4-aught wide gap. I feel like I just get better hookups than the conventional round bends, because the round bends are basically meant for worms right here. As you can see, it would just snug right up to the side of that worm's body, really keeping it out of cover and stuff like that. But I feel like it just makes them awkward. I just like the wide gap design way better. But the 4-aughts, 5-aughts a good option if you're getting short strikes, but if fish are definitely finicky, you want to go with that 4-aught. Weight options with the smaller 7-inchers, little 1/8 ounce tungsten really does the trick. Just gets it to the bottom. You get onto your bigger baits like that, my worm right here, you're gonna want to go with about a 1/4 ounce. But 1/4 ounce is as big as I go. It doesn't depend, you know, on what size worm. That's actually usually what I use anyway. But as you can see, just gotta. They're called U-tails for a reason, because their tail, you know, the tail is shaped like a U, and it just really gets a lot of action. It's a very overlooked bait nowadays. A lot of people don't fish it, and I fished it in a couple tournaments last year. One being on whitewater, and I just killed on the thing. I mean, you know, they weren't quality bites, but I wanted to pick up 5 good, you know, keeper bites, and that's what I got on whitewater with this worm right here. Just a great worm. And now I'm going to slide these guys aside. We're going to go over to the big 10-inch. Very intimidating bait. A lot of people think, oh, you can't get a big enough hook for this thing. 5-aughts as big as I go. That hook right there will do the job. It may only get to that egg sac, as you can see there. It may only get to the egg sac. But the thing is, this 5-aught will get the job done. This hook right here, it's big enough to get down there. And what a lot of people don't understand is this: when a bass comes up to bite this big 10-inch Crete tail worm, they're gonna eat it head first. A lot of people think, oh, you know, they just grab on the tails. Those bites that you feel when the fish are grabbing out of the tail are 99% of the time a bluegill or a really small bass. You could get a pound bass that's gonna engulf this 10-inch worm. I'm telling you, I fished it last year and the year before and just had killer success on it on a Texas rig. And it's just such an overlooked bait, you know. But like I said, you're just going to take your 5-aught. What I like to do is set it somewhere where I can see which way the curl goes. It's kind of not cooperating here. I can see that the curl is going this way. Yeah, there we go, we got it. So the curl's going that way. So basically there's that line on the bait from the injection mold. You're going to spin out of the bait, and when your hook comes out, you want it to be going with the curl so it looks like the curl. Just like that. See, if I had this worm straight, it would be going with the curl. And it's just your basic Texas rig, slide it up the shank. And then, you know, if you're fishing it in grass, which is a lot of times that's where I love to fish this bait, skin hook it. There you go, you got your Texas rig 10-inch worm. And this thing is such a monster bass killer, it's not even funny. But I'm going to get back to you guys with actually the equipment that I fished this on and how I fish it. Alright guys, so I'm back here and I'm going to show you what and how I fish this thing on. I've got my own worm rigged up because this is probably going to be what I'm going to be throwing on opening day. But this is my own worm, 7.5 incher. I got this on a 4-aught VMC wide gap, like I said earlier in the rigging video, and then I got the 1/4 ounce, fishing a little deeper water probably. But a lot of people think that you need a huge rod to throw the, throw the massive creek tail, and you do not need a huge rod at all. Like I said, I got my 7-foot Dobbin Savvy Series medium heavy. This is the 703 with the T3 ballistic on it, 12-pound fluorocarbon. You cannot beat it. What a lot of people don't understand too is, oh, I gotta throw it on braid. I'm fishing really heavy cover. Let's go throw this worm on braid. But you don't have to. Wanna know why? Look at that. Look at the worm. Okay, that looks like it would get fouled up in cover. Just sitting alone, weightless, and weightless they do get fouled up. But if you just simply put a bullet weight on there, problem solved. It turns this worm into a flat-nosed worm into a torpedo, which really, really catches bass. I love to fish these on breaks, points, grass lines, in the grass, on top of the grass, punt. It was last year I had a point where I got some 5-inch power bait worms, and I was punching with a power bait worm, and it was working really well because it doesn't have appendages on it. All it's got is a tail. But it's just a great bait to be throwing, and a lot of people overlook this bait. A lot of tournament fishermen overlook this bait so much, it is ridiculous. I fished, personally, myself, this year I did not go as a boater in tournaments this past season. Now I'm going as a boater. But I did not see a single person in our whole club, that's about 16 people, that had one of these tied on. Never have I seen it. I fished it in whitewater, like I said, and I caught fish on it, just straight up. And it was just a good bait to be throwing. And that time I was throwing around things we call bogs, which is basically just like, it's an own little island of just soil that had roots fouled up in it, and it just kind of sticks out there. But like I said, just great baits to be fishing. Rock piles, wood, there's no place you can really not throw a worm. Pads, they can literally go anywhere. So do not, I'm just going to tell you guys this now, do not overlook the 7.5-inch U-tail, or even the 10 inchers. I've heard of 12 inchers, 15, NetBait has a 15-inch called the C-Mac, and I've seen a lot of people fish that too, but it's just, I think the 7.5-inch just performs the best. You can catch a quick limit of fish on it, so next time you fish a tournament, think about considering the U-tail to increase your hookup ratios and your bites.